Sometimes you get one books. You don't know if you keep them. When you go get one. There's probably something in the condo. It's been outside. If you walk into grocery stores, sometimes when you walk in, they'll have the keeper. Are you at two? Yes. And you don't get free on this person. And then you just take the two parties with you. Now we can go back. And then these two, it's 2 hours to come in. Was it the coffee?
Right, okay. I just, Lord, don't please. No, I know, that's what, right. I questioned myself, but I got it, right. Hey, man, I think I was gonna come to the door around 6-ish. And I know I'm gonna get all this. My medicine, and I told him that y'all would probably do that.
Yeah, if you'll just take his head in, I'll
That's
just
what I told him.
just look for it.
E. Okay, that's what I had on my notes. I just wanted to clarify.
That books that I have never seen
You said you were stop shopping.
I know.
You and Marilyn.
I'm not kidding. She said she had never seen a 60%.
Man, I played.
I spent $40-some. And I got like 3 jackets. Got some bigger and handbrake color in this. They had a lot.
Ford 7, Bogey 1.
But I really couldn't believe it.
Sounds like I was only going to play now, so I stepped up to him. I hit it. She walked off.
Maybe we'll hear some.
It's feeling good.
Okay, I'd like to call this special work session of the Lee County Board of Commissioners to order. Welcome everybody here. And we're just, because of time constraints, going to go straight into the saga work session. And I'll let Ms. Parrish lead us off.
Sure, let me go ahead. When you put the contact just so everybody can follow, there's printed copies at your desk, but we just have them here as well. So back in 2014, I believe is when the original contract was signed. We contracted with Saga to provide economic development services for the recruitment of new industry, business retention, expansion, and marketing of Lee County and business industrial sites to Lee County, for Lee County. And I was asked to take a look at the contract and what you have, and this has been circulated a couple of different times. The one I emailed Friday and the one that's currently at your desk that's printed is the latest version. And with that, I just literally took the original contract. Anything that is changed in green, those are staff-made changes. Anything that is color-coded in red, those are changes that I received from the commissioners and included those in the contract. And then anything in blue were questions or changes that were proposed from Saga that we received as well. So put all of that together, and this is a working document that we have. And at this point, we just need to, I can kind of go through it as we tell the changes are, and then the board will need to make some decisions. So the first thing we did, or the staff did, that I did, was the contract was originally with the Sanford Lee County Partnership for Prosperity, and that is their legal name. That's the name that's filed with the Secretary of State, but they're doing business as Sanford Area Growth Alliance. They filed something with the Register of Deeds, a certificate of assumed name, Sanford Area Growth Alliance, back in 2015. That the business and affairs of the undersigned shall be conducted under the Berry Growth Alliance. So I just went ahead and made that change throughout the contract, and the SLCP, is not changed to Saga. And then if you scroll down, the first change that you'll see is on item 3, and that was a commissioner suggested item in which was to look at the number of appointments that we have on the Saga Board of Directors. That, I think currently we have 3, and this kind of goes with items 4 and 5. We can sort of take a look at those all 3 together. Just spell it out a little clearer so everybody's on the same page, that we have one board of director, one of our board members is appointed to the board of directors, and that we have one who is an alternate commissioner who can also serve at the board of directors, but only votes if the appointed commissioner is unavailable. They can attend the meetings, but not participate in the voting. And then the item number 5 is that the rest of the other members who are appointed shall just be private citizens of Lee County. I've sort of spelled all of that out.
For clarification, we have 1 commissioner and 3 private citizen appointments, so a total of 4 with the commissioner. We should have 4.
And 4, okay.
What kind of, or is this up for discussion at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
I kind of got a problem with number 5 due to the fact that we have several, a few, not most, but a few members on the board of directors that live in adjacent counties. I don't know if this language was put in here to push those people out, but I don't agree with.
No, I don't believe that was what, I may have just said Lee County. I think it was just that they're not our board members. We just need to clarify that the other
You can just take
citizens-
out the
Lee
Lee
County.
County, but the board does have a policy that any member serving on committees or appointees, that kind of thing, will be Lee County residents. And every time there's an appointment that's from outside of the county, the board has to waive that policy.
And so that's what we've been doing in the past, and we can continue to do that.
Yes, sir.
So I can just put.
No, I was just acknowledging that.
Question that, and recently for the health board, we didn't have any optometrists, so we had somebody that stepped in that has a business here but doesn't live here.
And that's,
the board
and that's the
agreed
point
that-
I'm making with
Yes,
this.
so that option is available to us.
Okay.
If you can't fill the seat, you can bring somebody from, that doesn't live in the county for our appointments.
I can just take Lee County out and then just be private citizens, because in number 3, it already has that they're consistent with county policy, and if we have
And that should be-
those policies already in place, then we can waive it.
That's fine.
And then a sticking point, back on number 5, is maybe after board of directors by the board of commissioners,
Okay,
just
sure.
for clarification. Just our point. Okay.
Are you just running through these things, or?
That's what I was planning on doing, but I can do it however.
No, that's okay. If you, for Mr. Reeves,
Sure.
glad you're here.
Thank you.
We've gotten to number 5, and she's just kind of going point by point
The changes, that's all.
with the contract, with the changes.
Did you have any discussion on item number 3?
Well, we were,
As we were debating, we discussed, does she just let her go through all the changes and then discuss, or go bullet by bullet? I don't mind
or
either
if you want
way.
to go ahead and interject now, it's fine. We're just kind of, pleasure of the board.
I'll go with the majority, whatever that might be, but I certainly want to come back to number 3 to talk about.
Okay, well, we can just go on through.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure. I'll start, and then we'll know which ones to come back to.
okay.
Number 6, that was just changing the name, and then, in the Saga director and or the economic development director would appear before the county commissioners to give updates and seek support for projects. This is talking about the quarterly update meeting that the city, the county, and the town of Broadway have in conjunction with Saga. And then, one of the information I had received back from Saga was just asking if that should be a quarterly meeting, or because of trying to get everyone together, should it be a biannual meeting? So, to consider.
How many times was it done last year?
I think we've done-
Wasn't it difficult to get that together that one time?
That quarterly. Sometimes it's hard to get enough together for an executive board.
We talking about the,
We're talking about the joint meeting
The
between
full-
the
whatever-
city, the
whatever.
town,
Yeah, we'll do
and
that
Saga.
once.
Yeah,
But now we're saying we'll do it.
4
Yeah,
times.
I
I know
Is that a
that,
little
I think that's overkill.
I,
That's overkill.
It's what we,
it's
It was
the reason
agreed
it's in
to,
here is
right,
what used to happen
Was-
with the Lee County EDC.
right.
So this is something that's probably changed over time. So the question is, how often do you want to meet with the other boards and Saga as a group?
I would recommend we meet at least once or as needed, depending on what's going on.
That would be a good way to put it, yeah, at least once.
Once or as needed, that's,
That'd be a good way to.
All for that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Is that gonna be as needed?
Annual
Per
or as,
requested
there'll be
from
at least
one
one
group?
annual or as needed. So if they need to get us all together for a reason, they can call me.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm a champion for meeting.
Well, it's hard to get everybody on those 4 boards together. Very
So
difficult.
one and as needed?
Annually, or as needed. Okay.
Number 7, we just sort of changed this around, because we're already meeting at the Buggy Factory. So now it will just say that continue to operate a joint community and economic development office in the old Buggy Factory in downtown Sanford in order to foster cooperation amongst Lee County, the city of Sanford, and the town of Broadway. The old Buggy Factory will continue to be the one-stop shop for economic development growth of the community as long as all parties agree to the continued relationships. Oh, sorry, yep.
No, that's okay, I was just promoting. You don't want me touching it?
Well, happy birthday, yes.
I'll mess it up.
Just so I know, I see you got some blue ink and stuff, and some of the green crossed out. Did the staff switch to blue, or who is blue?
No,
So
we
they
have-
raised,
They
Saga
raised it.
raised it, so we actually agreed with what they said, because they
That's
said
not
we're
my-
gonna cooperate and develop it, we already developed it, so
That's
now
not
we
my
just.
question.
Yes, sir.
You identified red for the commissioners, green for staff, and blue shows up. I'm just asking who.
Blue is
Oh,
Saga.
Saga.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, Blue is Saga, yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Then moving on to 8A, this included who the current staff positions are, currently with Saga, and I believe they just maybe asked that we, I guess, take that out, is that right, or just be more generic?
Well, I was just gonna suggest more generic in the fact that this list is missing one of our current employee
Sorry.
titles, that's okay. And then we also, may be hiring someone else, so it would not include that. So I was just gonna leave it as the staff as a whole and try not to define titles, cause they could change and things like that, so not to get it so specific. Just my suggestion to make it simple.
Is everybody in agreement with that? Just supervision of current staff?
Just refer to it as current staff.
Oh, it doesn't have to be in the contract for me, but it has to be, I would still like to know.
Sure,
The
the
positions.
positions. Mhm. Okay. Well, I think what Joy is saying is you don't want to list the positions too specifically and then in the course of the 12 months, create a new position, or maybe merge a position, or, you know, if we have them too specific, that limits our flexibility with the organization. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes, and to Commissioner Reed's point, we could actually add a list of the current staff as of this contract. But, you know,
Sure.
if things are as go as we plan, then we'll add a position.
Right.
Okay.
Or if you change the title.
We can do that maybe as an addendum B.
Addendum, yes.
As of the date of the. If you'll just let me know which one I'm missing.
I will.
that'd be great. Okay. Then B, we just opted to, eliminate that section of the contract. C, the original wording is to direct the economic development staff to develop and implement an effective economic development program, and that the SAGA board of directors will monitor the results of the program and develop action plans to help develop job growth and investment in Lee County. And then along with that, we have the addendum A that has the list of the current SAGA board of directors. That also lists the 3 ex officio members, and then I was just informed that I'll have to get an updated list. I got this off the internet, I believe, so I just needed to get an updated one. And then one of the questions out of this section was asking if SAGA now had a way to measure the delivered results, and so how was that occurring?
It's occurring by a scorecard, correct? I mean, that's how we've been doing it. Has anybody got a suggestion how we could better do that? Joey or Bob, is that not correct? You have a, when you report to us.
Yes, sir.
Sort of the triangle,
Yes.
pyramid, right.
And
I mean-
then the additional handout that we give you as far as the project names.
Well, see, some of those things, I don't know what that scorecard meant. I don't know who requested that, but I'm assuming the scorecard meant how were they gotten? Was it a direct result of what SAGA did, or they just fell in our lap? The scorecard at this point in time doesn't tell us that.
It is on the pyramid sheet that we get. It tells how they contacted us or how they came to know Lee County. It's kind of like on the left-hand side of the sheet.
I don't know what relates to which one of the 9 on there. You know what I mean? So you got 9 wins. Each one, I don't know, does it say anymore how each one was?
It tells what step it's in.
Yeah,
order
come on,
in the
come on up
process.
and fill up your.
I don't have
On
that
the-
sheet
on
in
the
front of me. You
score-
took that back last time, so I don't have that in front of me.
On the pyramid, it has the, things are color coded, and there's a chart at the bottom to tell you which color means what. But, so for example, if one of the wins was from EDP&C, it would have that color resulted from them. Or either it's personal relationships, or either the site selector or whatever tells you which.
No, what I'm saying is I don't know which one of the 9 falls into that color coding. Yeah, so you
But
got
they're-
9, but you have 9 things how they were won, but I don't know how each individual one was gotten. Is that on that sheet? Do you have that sheet? Where's that sheet? Do you have that sheet?
Is there, I don't know, but there is.
Here in the,
I have an example of one of
so
my
there's a
slide
PowerPoint right here
presentation.
that she gave you, that's part of this that I left in front for today.
Yeah.
It's right, and of course I didn't print it.
Oh, this must be the old one. This says 7 wins. Is this an older one?
This one's color coded, so it may be more helpful to you to see it, but if you can see it, I can't really see it. But, for example.
This is 7. The last one said 9, right?
Yeah, this was an
This
older,
was
this
last
is
year.
2006, this is
This
That was the old one.
All I'm saying
That's
is
what she gave us in
these
January.
7,
So
you're
then
saying
if
how,
we
but
there-
what's the actual company?
Oh, we give you a separate sheet for that.
Oh, I haven't got that one yet.
It can't, we take them, we give them out, and then we take them back up, but we can provide that information with the, jobs and investment.
Because I can see which business are coming from what source of.
Right. We have that information, and we can make sure it's presented in that way as well.
Thank you. So we just need to make sure that we have the updated membership list.
Yes, and they'll, y'all don't mind,
I'll get you that, yes.
Okay?
okay, and then, D indicated to provide a copy of all minutes of the Board of Directors and or the Executive Board of Director meetings to the appointed commissioner that's on the board, who will then distribute the minutes to the Board of Commissioners.
How far can we go that legally on that?
What do you think?
On distributing those minutes, if we're talking about, I don't know if it would be in the minutes, but if we're talking about to someone about coming to Lee County during the discussion, I mean, what part of that is to be made available to the board at that time for the public?
I don't know how the meetings are set up, but I guess if there's anything that's confidential that would need to be remain closed, maybe we would just have to keep that closed separately, that we wouldn't be able to then release that out once we got it. Because once we have possession of it, I believe at that point, they would be subject to the public
Unless we
records
get it in
law.
our own closed meeting.
Yeah, we still close session meetings. If there's any confidential information, we would just have to.
It'd be part of our closed session minutes,
That's right.
which are releasable once
Once it's
a
finished.
project is announced.
Right.
And if most everything that goes to the public records request, I also review and can redact if there's, exceptions under the under the public records law. If there are things that are not allowed to be releasable, there are some exceptions there as well.
But one of the questions is, how do you handle it now? Because you've got public members sitting on there, busy people. So if you're putting things in the minutes, that probably should have been in closed session. And part of the public already knows. I mean, does anybody follow?
I see what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying, yeah.
understand what you're
I see what
saying.
you're
So,
saying, yeah.
I would think that those things that you consider to be confidential, that you go into closed session
Right.
and keep them a separate part of that, and you release the regular board meeting minutes.
Just as we do.
Right.
Well, then why doesn't D state that fact and say just follow open meeting laws accordingly? Why does it say, then you'd have closed session meetings, you have to keep notes in those closed session meetings, you give them to us in our closed session. It makes it simple, isn't it?
We can include that.
Yes. I mean,
Why isn't included? That's almost pretty much what it says here anyways, isn't it?
Not included because nobody submitted it.
We just put down what everyone submitted.
Yeah.
We can add it in.
The attorney she didn't offer her own, she just took, this is the board's recommendations here.
Okay, I put that recommendation in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Then F, let me slide it down again. This deals with, bringing projects before the, Board of Commissioners from the Saga Board of Directors and or the Executive Board members. We just indicated to have that in writing by either the Saga Board of Directors or Executive Board of Directors to the Commissioners. And then G is the same, H, just took out the little information about the annual audit of the Board of Commissioners and the head of the budget of the Saga's budget would be due to the county manager by March 15th of each year. And then I hope I got this right. I hope I got this part right. This is indicating that Saga will provide the annual audit every other year to the Board of Commissioners. The year an audit is not provided, their auditor will conduct a financial review, and a copy of that would be provided to the Commissioners. So I sort of spelled it out, beginning in fiscal year 15 to 16, a financial review will be conducted. Then 16, 17, an audit will be conducted. And then 17, 18, a financial review will be conducted. And that both reports are due by December 31st of each year. And then J is indicating that Saga would establish an audit committee that will work with Saga's auditor to complete the annual audit. The audit committee currently consists of the treasurer of Saga Board of Directors, the Lee County manager, and the City of Sanford manager. The question was who will make up the audit committee, and then we filled that in. K.
Does the town of Broadway elect not to have a representative? Or do you know, anybody know?
Well,
On the audit committee, I'm not sure.
yeah, the audit committee is made up of
Yeah, I heard the.
representatives from the finance committee, really, so just the three of us. That was by suggestion of Charlie Wellman.
Yeah.
Try to keep it small to make sure we can work through the audit.
But if the mayor decided to sit in and not be a voting member of that committee, would he be allowed, is what I'm asking. I think you need to let that happen.
To my mayor of Broadway.
Yeah, let's see, how long we missing, we got everybody else in.
They're
The mayor or
The-
the
the
Broadway
man- the
manager?
manager. The three managers and the treasurer.
That's fine, whoever they want to send, but
Okay.
Broadway ought to have a seat.
Right.
They don't have a seat.
Okay.
And then K is that Saga will provide a monthly financial statement to the Board of Commissioners. And then L, that Saga may submit an annual capital improvements plan to the Board of Commissioners, which outlines infrastructure needs of the county for economic development purposes over the next 5 years. There was clarifications requested from Saga and also from one of the board members, I believe. And so what we did is we included that any capital improvement item over $500,000, which the Saga Board of Directors wants the Board of Commissioners to consider, must go through the CIP process, is basically what we're trying to say in that section. And M, just included, if the budget is passed or if this position is passed, that to apprise the Board of Commissioners and the county's Community and Government Relations Manager of all job announcements before media is contacted for the purpose of a public announcement. And then on number 9, just included what our,
Excuse me, Counsel.
Yes, sir.
Before you go to number 9, will you go back to L?
yes.
So I guess that clarification for what the expectations are for this item. And I would like a little clarity for myself. They only have to submit a plan if the project exceeds $500,000.
That's what the CIP is for, is for all projects over 500,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's in our current policies, right?
Yeah, that's the current policy, but projects less than that, what?
It would have to go through the annual budget process, or they could come to the board and ask it, when something comes up, if we will fund it.
Yeah, just like they did the visitors.
And we ought to put it in the contract.
Okay. For projects less than $500,000. magic, because the screen is moving and I'm not moving it, so.
He's back in.
Yeah. We just indicated in 9, obviously depending on the budget, but, passing of the budget, but the annual appropriation for Saga in fiscal year 17-18 be $270,000, and then this section just basically says if you appropriate funds, you know, in the subsequent fiscal years, and the contract remains in effect unless, you know, make changes, obviously.
Is that tire payments to a specific amount, with it being in the contract?
No, 'cause we
It's
just,
subject to the annual appropriation of the county for subsequent years, so, or subsequent periods, so. The board, this just states it what's, you know, just ties it to what's in the current budget.
Okay.
then we removed 10 and then 11, same when it becomes effective. And then signature lines, which we will also have to include the E-Verified IRAN divestment. Forgot about that.
Okay, before we move into the funding, any more comments or questions on the contract part?
Yeah, quick question.
Sure.
So the Saga board has a total of 33 members, correct?
Probably more than that.
Updated to we're at what number now? What's our total?
I don't have the list.
Oh, you don't
different
have it?
list with me. I didn't bring it.
You're referring to the list that we have in our packet?
Yes, Saga's indicated that's not updated, I didn't realize it.
I think the positions are updated. It's just, there's some folks that have switched out in the positions.
Oh, okay, so the numbers should be the same.
So numbers still the same, it's 33?
Well, 3 of those are ex officio, because I have listed on here, all the managers, but they're not voting members.
These are all voting members here, these 33?
So-
No, the managers, for the county.
That's not a voting member.
How heck was,
Okay, there's another one right
So
there.
I
Okay,
think
so we're at 30?
30.
30 voting members? And how many people go in a closed session when you have closed sessions? Is that just the executive board?
That's 10.
That's 10 exec, is that right? So you're having a closed session, 10 execs?
It would depend. If they're going into closed session and they need to go into closed session for the full, at a full board meeting, all voting members would go into that closed session. Yes, sir. But typically, they've been having most of their closed sessions with the executive committee because they meet monthly, the full board meets quarterly.
Right, so then we're going back to number 3 for you, sir.
Yes, I certainly feel that we need to increase the number of appointments that we have for the public sector. Right. Currently, we have 3, 1 commissioner and 2 private secretary.
Okay, correct. That was one. I thought we had.
Well, we have a commissioner and alternate, and then right.
I don't
But,
think we have an alternate
but
because-
voting wise, we have,
Yes.
right, mm-hmm.
Right. And with what we're investing, that there ought to be more public seats available. I can be satisfied if we had a total of 8, which means it would be 7 public positions available for appointment and the 1 commissioner that represents the board. There may be some other numbers people are interested in.
So who's all the contributors? We have the city, we have the county, and then we have
Town Broadway.
Broadway, and then we have obviously private, correct? Okay. Has the city?
It's more than the board members, because not every, you have to contribute a minimum of 10,000 per year to get a seat on the board, and there are smaller contributors to it than that, so the list is quite a bit longer than that, but that would be
Yeah, come on. I mean,
That'll be a
it's a
private
work
matter.
session.
I don't want to. So just to clarify that, in our bylaws, it calls for 3 seats from the county, 2 seats from the city, a seat from Broadway. The Chamber of Commerce Board gets 3 appointees. Any investor that has contributed 10,000 or more has a seat. And then there's 6 additional seats that are selected from investors as a whole to cover some of those that have not met the threshold to be on the board. And then we have ex officio members to include Jetport Community College,
Schools.
the schools, the hospital, the managers of the municipalities. And if I could go ahead and touch on a couple of the items that were discussed. So I'm not able to speak on behalf of the board, but I would just mention that if the number of members that you appoint are changed, and then also on the minutes and the financials being presented, I just have to have that approved by our board in order to do that, because it changes a policy within the organization, and it would need to change our bylaws to be able to appoint those. Not to say that this can't be done, but I just want to let you all know that there is another step that I would have to take to get the board of directors to approve these items.
And that's why we wanted this work session. I mean, it's not just, you know, we understand that you
Okay, I
have
just
your
wanted
own
to
rules and
clarify.
regulations that you've got to get past your board. And
Then,
I'd like some clarity on, because somehow I'm not, it sounds like you're saying that you have members who are not paying the entire $10,000. Is that what?
so we have investors that can invest a commitment, it's a 5-year commitment for any investor to be considered an investor, and they can invest. There were levels that were just $5,000 with $1,000 over a 5-year period, and then there were investors that had a greater amount than that, up to $10,000. And if they invested $10,000 or more, then they automatically had a seat on the board. But in order to cover the investors that did not invest at that level or have the means to do that, there were 6 that were appointed from the general investor list.
Well, if they invest, let's say, for example, over a 5-year period, they invest $5,000. Do they have to pay any portion of that within that 5-year period, or all of it, or how does that work?
We typically, we left it to the investors, as some of them, a couple of them paid the full amount at one time, but we had an agreement with them that they would pay over a 5-year period, and then we bill them each year for 5 years.
Yeah, I understand the one that paid, but I'm saying, if I offered up 5, and I've been involved for 3 years and I haven't paid any of my money, do I continue to be a member until the 5th year?
A member on the board, or just in general?
In general, I guess is what you're saying.
So, no, sir. So what we would do is, we're about 3 years into some of the billing, so it depended on when they started their commitment. But if they haven't paid, then we contact them for payment, because it was based on their annual commitment. But at this point, in the 3 years in, we've not had that situation yet.
Okay, and so you really don't have an example or a solution at this point, if that happens?
Right, because the folks that have committed into the 3 years have all made their payments on time. So I don't foresee that would happen. It could if they change ownership of an organization. They have a right, they're not legally bound to honor that commitment, but we do have a written agreement with them that we send to them as a reminder each year when we bill them.
All right, let me tell you why I was interested in the additional slots. I'm talking about the truly small business folks, that's what I'm saying. I'm suggesting that we're taking their money and investing in this project, and we ought to provide more opportunity for some of those small businesses to be a part of this. And I can understand how a business may not be able to take on that take
I
up.
think that was in the beginning, or when I joined and when they started talking about the board creation, that was the reason for the 6 additional slots that are appointed, was to try to cover those individuals.
Oh, I understand
from a
that.
smaller standpoint.
And the 3 from the chamber board, because, that the chamber board can, select as well, because the 3 that the chamber board selects do not have to be investors. They need to be members of the Chamber of Commerce side of the, and speaking about the, where funding comes from, that's considered part of the funding as well, with the Chamber of Commerce being in the, organization as well.
Doesn't that go to the heart of what I'm saying? The chamber is allowed to give 3 seats. We're putting in as much as the chamber. And it just makes more sense to me that we have more public opportunities for the small business people in this community.
Joy, can you run down the representation again? 3 from the county.
3, and I don't have the bylaws in front of
No,
me,
no,
but I
that's
just,
fine.
if I remember correctly, I know it's 3, oh, you have it? Thank you. 3 from the, Board of Commissioners, and it says with at least one, and this is from our bylaws, with
Sure.
at least one appointee being an elected official.
Mhm.
2 members appointed by the city council, with at least one appointee being an elected official. 1 member of the commissioners of Town of Broadway, with being an elected official, which is the mayor. 3 members appointed by the Sanford Chamber of Commerce, which is now the Chamber of Commerce. Board of Directors will elect these members. 6 members elected from private sector investors of the capital campaign.
That's selected by the Saga.
Investors in the private sector fundraising, let's see if it goes in to say, shall
We're not
appoint the,
picking them,
yes,
so you're
yes, sir,
picking
I was
them, right?
reading down to make sure. Shall be appointed to the members, yes, sir. And then any person investing 10,000 or more with the corporation is entitled to a voting board seat. And then the ex officios, and then the other position on there would be the immediate past chair, which is normal for that person to stay on. But then ex officios is the president of the CCCC, superintendent of Lee County Schools, the Triangle South Workforce Development Board representative, the director for NC Cooperative Extension, the director for Raleigh Executive Jetport, Lee County manager, City of Sanford manager, and Town of Broadway manager. And it's,
8 ex officio.
and each
I was
board-
missing the workforce development.
Each
Okay.
director will serve a 3-year term.
Okay.
I apologize, on this isn't a master list of the, but the addendum A, I probably have all those other ex officio members listed as well, I just didn't indicate it there.
No, it's okay. Okay, well, we have a okay,
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the 5-year budget, so, private commitment in your budget goes down. Ours, I think, does ours go up or stay the same? Yeah, our budget goes up, so which changes the whole formula of how much we're putting in compared to how much others are putting in. So I think this should, not only that 8, I think is a great number to start, but I think it should be rechecked every couple of years. That number may change. The formula should be reworked to see whether or not, the city may put in more, may put in less. Town of Broadway may put in more, may put in less. I think there should be some type of, under there, revamping to see where the majority of the money is coming from. It may come from the private and they get more. I think every couple of years, to see how those, because you can get more than 30 members. If all of a sudden you have a bunch more paying 10 grand a year, you can go past 30, correct? That would be
Based on
nice.
these bylaws.
Yeah,
yes.
sure. Yeah.
What's your attendance, Joy? I mean, I know you have a quorum every time,
Well, we meet
Unless-
once a quarter, and we typically have a full board, I mean, I'm not saying everybody's there,
Sure,
but we
but I
do
mean,
have
you-
a good attendance record of board members attending.
Well,
You have to have a quorum to vote?
Yes,
Under the
sir.
laws? Quorum? Thank you.
The original $10,000 investors, how many new, you started out with that being the requirement. Have you had new ones as we go along, or is it's pretty much those same original
It's pretty much gonna be
$10,000
set
folks,
for that amount in the fact that it was a capital campaign that was done to create the investors and have the 5-year plan of investing. And then I think that the idea is about 4 years in, which would take us into next year, to look at redoing the campaign to keep some of these investors to continuing. So that would be when you would see some of that change or significant amount. It's not to say that if we had a new industry come in that wanted to contribute to the organization, that they could not come in at any time.
You would take them.
Yes,
Have we been having that happen?
not at that level, nowhere near that level. We've had a couple of investors, but not at that level.
okay, well, we've had 2 commissioners that I can hear that have agreed to propose the 8.
And I think I'd
Members.
throw in there and then reevaluate every 2 years to see if that changes. I think the city may want to think about theirs too.
I would just suggest that we do that just like we do the budget. We'll evaluate it every time we,
Yearly?
yeah, every time you're gonna appropriate funding.
Now, for clarification, you're saying we'll appoint 8 members, that's including the commissioner, the alternate, and the 2 we have already?
I don't count the alternate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
count
so
the
you're
alternate.
adding 5 is essentially,
That's correct.
okay, that's just what I want to make clear.
Yeah.
That you're not adding 8 more,
No.
just
No,
8
that's-
total,
right,
just making sure.
right.
So what I
Okay.
understand is, we're looking at adding members as the budget increases. So that's what we're looking at each year as we do the budget.
Well, when the budget proposal comes in, we'll look at the membership at that point in time and see where the growth is. And if there's no growth, then there's probably no reason for us to expand.
Right. Yeah, I understand that, yeah. But if there is room for growth, then we would add to the whole, and the amount of money that's being appropriated. Is that right?
If the budget goes up, I want some out of it.
What was the percentage increase from this year to last year? Was it what percent?
42.
And I'm assuming, Commissioner Reeves, that's what you're basing your 8 appointees.
And quite honestly, well, no, quite honestly, when we did the first 190,000, I thought we would get 19 seats then. So no. But it just seems reasonable to me to have an opportunity to reach some of the really small business folks out in the community.
Well, I support that.
Yeah, that, no, I just feel like from the very beginning, we should have more public seats. But there was no sense in getting into it initially because we hadn't got off the ground good. So we've gone through our first couple of years and now it's time to make that kind of call, make that kind of decision.
If I may interject, sorry. And Lisa may have explained it better, but we just have to, I've done the math, it looks like if, I don't know how many members, but if there's 33 here and then there was 8 ex officios, I believe. We just have to be careful that we don't end up with control, like a majority on the board of directors because of the county's auditing and what we have to report and different things. So I will have to just make sure that the final number, that we don't end up with a control or majority for our audit purposes. So once I get the numbers, but I think we'd be all right with 8, because it wasn't in maybe 25 that are voting members currently.
Yeah, all I'm suggesting here is that they have an opportunity to be a member. doesn't necessarily mean they have to be an executive board voting member. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that we ought to have more public. I think I understand what you're saying. You're simply saying you don't want us having a controlling interest out of that 30 board members. I understand that.
But with that clarification, and we can look through the numbers, but if they're not to have a vote, then we would have to clarify that you're recommending that they're ex officio members. So
No, they're gonna be
because
regular members.
Yeah,
Regular members. We're not saying they have to be executive members. They're
See,
gonna be
you're the members of the board of directors.
Yes.
with a vote, okay.
right.
Um,
And we understand that, you know, you have to take that back and.
Right,
have some
and so
back
that I
and
can
forth.
sit down and let you continue the conversation, I just had a clarification on item 8F.
Sure.
That says that guidelines in dealing with incentives will take the project before the directors and executive board for recommendation. And all those recommendations will be forwarded here in writing. I needed to clarify, is that where we ask you for supporting a project?
Yes.
When we bring that to you? The concern with that is, for example, of one that we need to talk with you about tonight, we will not have had a meeting to be able to, we call them and contact them, but to be able to get a letter before we have to present that information based on the project and how quickly it's moving, we might not be able to make that happen.
No, let me explain. That was one of mine, and what I'm suggesting here is I don't want to wind up looking like I made the decision to go ahead and promote this project. You've got an executive committee that can authorize the two of you to come forward, come to this board.
Mm-hmm.
That satisfies me in that regard, but it needs to be in writing that they've cleared it. You're not following that?
Are you saying for each project?
If you're coming for a possible incentive, I certainly want to have the endorsement of your executive board.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna ask, wouldn't she have that before she would come to this board?
I don't know.
I understand what he's asking for, I mean,
Yeah.
I just needed the
Writing.
clarification on it.
Joy, with these changes, was there anything that you foresee having to change the bylaws?
Well, we definitely
will
would have to change the bylaws for the number of members, and that's something the board will have to vote on.
And the meeting.
And then the minutes and the financials being presented are not currently our policy, and since it's a policy change, they'll have to vote on that as well.
Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna put my chairman hat on right now. It's 5 minutes till 6, and we have public hearings beginning at 6 o'clock. So I guess we have two choices. I've talked to council about this earlier today because I did not think we'd get through all this in an hour. My personal preference, but it's just me, is if we could, if someone would be willing to add the financial part to old business, and we take up the financial right after the public hearings tonight. The only other alternative I can see is just creating another work session.
So moved.
Okay, all right, so there's a motion to continue the discussion for the second part of the work session for the Saga funding information as item A under old business on our agenda, and that will take place immediately after the 6 o'clock public hearings and public comments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. And we'll just take a brief 5-minute recess until we start with our regular meeting. Thank you. My children actually felt sorry for me. They said I had more work this week and they had finals. Right here. Okay, good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody and call this first meeting of June, good grief, of the Lee County Board of Commissioners to order. And our budget hearings are this evening, so nice to see a good crowd here. We appreciate your attendance. I'd like to call on Commissioner Reeves.
Dr. Frazier.
Dr. Frazier, okay. At this time, we're going to ask Dr. Frazier to join us and offer an invocation, and then we'll be led by the Commissioner Reeves for Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow. Most gracious and eternal God, our Father, we again thank you for this opportunity and privilege for us to come to another County Commissioners meeting. We thank you, God, for how you blessed us this far, and we know, God, that you're going to bless us in the future. We pray for this Board of Commissioners and staff and all of those who represents this county. And not only that, God, we pray that you bless the citizens, those who pay the bills. We ask, God, that you continue to watch over us and give us the confidence and wisdom to know to do the right thing. So, God, now we know that we're in this session. We ask, God, that you bless them in a special way. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frazier. Commissioner Reeves. Are there, I hesitate to ask this, but are there any additional items to the agenda tonight?
Madam Chair, I would like to move from new business to I kind of jumped ahead.
No, it's okay, it's fine. But okay, are there any additional items to add to the agenda?
Do you want to add?
None, okay.
What about financial?
Oh, wait, the closed session. Yes.
Yeah, we have an additional closed session.
All right.
So you need to add that?
Yeah.
Okay. And that'll be,
Acquisition of real property.
yeah,
Per general statute.
433811.
I move that we had a closed session to discuss these.
Okay. So we'll have C, closed session to acquire property. Okay. Okay, anything else?
What is that, under old business?
No, this is closed session.
Closed session.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, now, the approval of the consent agenda. Any changes to the consent agenda?
So that's when I kind of jumped the gun, but I would like to move that we move items B, C, D, E, F, G, H, N, and O to the consent agenda.
Okay, wait a minute. You need to run that by us one more time. A little slower.
So move items under new business, item B, C, D, E, F, G, H, N, and O onto the consent agenda for approval.
I'd like for you to amend it and add I, J, K, L, M, N, and O.
Well, I had that discussion with the attorney prior to, I think,
That,
Well, I just have something, because these properties are in the city, so I also need to explain just one
That has to
item
be.
with the city.
Yeah.
And one of the offers, there's
dual
two offers.
offers.
So we probably need to address those. Sorry.
I fully understand it, but go ahead. I'm gonna help myself.
I'll do them fast.
All right.
okay, so, so are you gonna withdraw your items?
will.
Okay.
What about I? Did you throw I in there?
That's one we're gonna hear.
That's one of the problems.
The properties we're gonna leave on there with Ms. Parrish. Okay, I'm looking up, okay, any other changes to the, I've got one, but any other changes to the consent agenda? Okay, we also need to pull item E from the consent agenda altogether. The approval of the right transportation contract for non-emergency Medicaid transportation, simply because after discussing with Ms. Potts, we're still waiting on some certification and some paperwork. So there's not really an issue on our end with that. We're just waiting for some paperwork, and we cannot vote on it until we receive that. Okay, again, I'm kind of looking out at Ms. Davidson and Mr. Spivey and Mr. Kane and Mr. Crumpton. Is there anything that you feel like you need to speak on in those items? Okay.
I got one for,
I'm just,
I think they're all glad to be leaving and
well,
going to dinner,
that's,
except for me.
I should have had that snack.
well, I just wanted to clarify in case something had come up that, you know, that's not in our packet. Yes, sir.
for Mr. Spivey on the vehicles. I'm not in opposition, but I did notice that several of the charges had ignition problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir, that's been very common in all the ones that we've received.
And we're still buying them.
Yeah, well, they own their state contract, I understand, through the sheriff's department. But, we
Up
have
to the
had
sheriff.
last year.
I personally think we need to at least send something in writing to the state department to let them know that there's something going on. You have this many vehicles with the same problem,
I noticed that too. Okay.
and mileage is not that great on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
So, the complete removal of item E and the change from new business to consent agenda of items B, C, D, E, F, G, H, M, N, O. If I got that correct? Oh, not M, I'm sorry. N and O, right. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
I think they did a very good job of providing information in the packet, supporting being able to do this too, so I want to thank y'all.
Most definitely. Okay. Not too far off time. At this time, we need to begin our public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2017-2018 budget. Mr. Crumpton.
Make it short, Madam Chair. On May 22nd, I presented the manager's recommended budget. The total budget is $71,072,740. Since that meeting, the budget was placed online on our website for review. Also, a copy was placed at the library and in the clerk's office. So the public has had the opportunity to review. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, I'd like to open the hearing. Anyone to speak in favor of the 2017-2018 proposed budget? Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, County Manager Crumpton, Ms. Parrish. My name is Andy Bryan. I'm Superintendent for Lee County Schools, here to speak in favor of the County Manager's budget proposal. Let me begin by thanking each of you for your support for our school district. Over the last 2 years, you've supported our budget to fund an increase in our local supplement from 7 to 9% for certified employees and from 1 to 3% for classified employees. This helps us retain and attract the very best educators possible. In the current budget, the county manager has included an increase to 10% and 4% respectively for local supplements and continued support of our capital budget to maintain and upgrade our facilities. Together, we have all have very much to be proud of, and I'm especially proud of our graduating class of 2017, which will be graduating on Thursday and Friday, who've earned millions of dollars in scholarships. Your support for our students and employees ensures that success. Again, thank you for everything that you've done for Lee County Schools. Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor of the budget?
Thank you, Commissioners. Joy Thrash, CEO for the Sanford Area Growth Alliance, and just want to thank you for your support for economic development to the organization, and thank you in advance for consideration of increased funding for the organization to continue economic development for Lee County and Sanford. It's important for us all to have a joint effort here to continue this, and the funding being consistent and increasing allows us to continue the efforts and increase our marketing efforts for the community so that we can see some results for jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of the budget? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Overton Shudra. I'm the Executive Director of Haven in Lee County. And I just wanted to thank you all for the recommendations for funding for our nonprofits, not just for Haven, but for many of those that you're providing assistance to. I also want the community and you all to know what your funding did for us last year. So in the last 6 months of 2016, our first 6 months of this current fiscal year, we provided services and took crisis calls from 617 individuals in this community that were facing domestic violence or sexual assault crisis. We served over 237 of those in person. We're able to help provide protective orders for them through our legal system, working with our legal system, and also provided shelter for 58 women and 57 children during that time, and had over 3,000 volunteer hours during that time frame. So Haven has been able to really stabilize their budget over the last 2 years. I'm about to celebrate my 2nd anniversary with them the end of this month. Very proud of that and just greatly appreciative for the funding. While it's a very small portion of our overall budget, we have not had any state increases in over 8 years, and there are none proposed in any of the 3 current proposals before the state legislature. And we also have not received any increases in federal funding. So we are very, very grateful for the community support. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Okay, anyone else to speak in favor of the budget? Okay, anyone to speak in opposition to the budget? Okay. Yeah. Okay, close this public hearing on the 2017-18 fiscal budget. Moving on to our next public hearing. This will be the fiscal year 2017-2018 fire district budget public hearing. Mr. Crumpton?
Yes, ma'am. At the same meeting on May 22nd, Mayor Donald Andrews, who also serves as chair of the Fire Advisory Board, presented the 2017-2018 Lee County Fire District budgets. I thought he did a great job, and he is here tonight at my request to answer any questions that you might have, because this is his baby, not mine. So,
okay.
Be happy to forward any questions to him.
Okay, before I open the hearing, any questions of the board for Mayor Andrews?
I think they did a very good job putting the budgets together, so thank you.
Yeah, job pays really well. It's a lot of hard work for sure. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing for the 2017-2018 Fire District Budget public hearing. Anyone to speak in favor of the proposed fire tax budget or fire tax Yes. Anyone to speak in opposition? Okay, I declare this hearing closed. Thank you very much. Thank you back there on the back row for all your hard work and for your attendance this evening. Okay, and our last public hearing tonight is the public hearing on the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2018. I still find this hard to believe, through 2022. So again, I'll look to the manager.
Yes, ma'am. The CIP recommended budget for fiscal year 2018-2022 was presented by Michael Silverman at the May 22nd meeting. I thought he did a great job. The total requested exceeded 87 million beyond over the next 5 years and then beyond, with 85 million being over the next 5 years. The recommended CIP was for 45 million, a little over 45 million for the next 5 years, and then 42 million beyond that 5 years. So once again, this was put on the website, and a copy has been in the clerk's office and at the library for review.
Okay. Okay, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing on the capital improvements program for fiscal year 2018 through 2022. Anyone to speak in favor of the CIP? Anyone to speak in opposition of the CIP? Okay. Declare this public hearing closed. Thank you very much. If you haven't looked at it, I encourage you to find a copy on the website or at the library. See some of the good things again for the county.
Madam Chair, just to make everybody aware, the votes on those 3 documents are scheduled for June 19th.
Yes, thank you
Unless
very much.
anything between now and then occurs.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, public comments. You have public comments? Okay, all right, so we'll just move right back into where we were just a few minutes ago. With the addition to the old business, we'll return to the saga discussion with finances. Find the spot. There it is. Okay. So, do you want to start this off, John?
On the budget part?
Mm-hmm.
Well, within our budget, we have a recommended amount going from 190,000 to 80,000. Pull up my other attachments here.
And everybody,
Things have disappeared.
everybody has the list with the,
With the prior year being 190,000, we inadvertently did not make the 25,000 first payment for the tourism services in the last fiscal year, and it was brought to our attention that that payment was not made, so we ended up making both $25,000 payments for the visitor center in this current fiscal year. In addition, we've done $190,000 for the contractual amount and $370,000 for the CCEP entrance development, for a total of $610,000 this year.
and just to interrupt you for just a second, and that 370, just as a reminder, came from the sale of the lift station.
Those funds
Just
were taken from there.
reminding everybody, okay.
I did get asked about the shared cost for the buggy factory, and going into this project, the city manager and myself felt it was important that we have that one-stop shop for building inspections, environmental health, all of community development and economic development. So knowing that Saga was going to be paying quite a bit of an increase in rent, the city manager and myself agreed, and then of course we communicated to this both boards, that the common areas that we would pay the rent on that and not charge that to Saga, because I think their rent almost doubled moving from where they were to the buggy. So either way, we would have ended up paying for that probably. So it was just easier for us to go ahead and pay that share. We also pay the utility bills for Duke Energy and waste management in the water and sewer. So, and then there's some security services there that you can see that we jointly pay. And, you know, it amounts to, you know, about $6,000 or $7,000 a year that we pay on their behalf. Not a large sum, in my estimation, to make sure that we have that continuity with all our people. And I think if you asked any of those departments that were there in that building, you would be amazed at the amount of cooperation, interaction. It's hard to tell the difference between city, county, and Saga employees at times because they're all working together and it's doing what it needs to do. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on that. I did resubmit in this package tonight the detailed budget that she proposed to us. You know, there's some discussion about not whether or not we're providing financials, you know, information, but this is something that's a public document because they sent it to me, and once I got it, it's a public document. So, and then back on the 5-year budget, I think there's some additional explanation of what they plan on doing into the future and what the increase this year in the city and the county will go to. So I can answer those questions as well. I'd just say that I am happy to see that it's going towards marketing and advertising and help in the economic development office, because I felt like that those are areas that we have been trying to address for several years, even before Saga took over. So I think that would be a good thing for us all to address a national marketing campaign to promote our community, and then get some help in the office to help with the existing business retention.
Any questions or comments?
No, I just, you know, I'm a big proponent of Saga, as everybody knows. And I want to ask you to support the budget for economic development and primarily for the marketing concept. With us working towards the Moncure mega site and promoting this region throughout the world. It's not just in North Carolina, in the United States, it's throughout the world. And that's something that we have to do. We have to let people know the potential that's here and the hard work that's gone over into promoting our area and putting all this together over the last several years. Nothing's free, nothing's cheap. But I want to commend them for what they're doing. I definitely feel like we're on the horizon of big things happening here, and I think we need to be prepared for it. And so I thank you, and I ask you to support it.
I'd like to add, you know, we had, this board was aware of the fact we had 3.1% growth in our tax base, and we had a 9% growth in our sales tax growth, and it put right much money in our county coffers. And, you know, I want to thank Saga and our private investors and the community leaders that were involved in that, because I think they made an effort, and they made a good effort, and we see the success from it.
I need to get clarity on the visitor center proposed request. Or maybe I missed what you said. You said you didn't.
I do not have,
We didn't. I know they voted last year for the first 25. So are you saying they didn't get that or what?
No, sir, the vote by the board was 25,000 in the 15-16 budget
Right.
and 25 in the 16-17. So they have received that in their proposed budget for next year. They put the 50,000 back in for visitor services, 25 from the city and 25 from the county. I did not place that in there because the county's commitment ended, and you know, obviously, hopefully that bill will go through the legislature this time. And if it doesn't go through, then I'm sure there will be a discussion about that going forward. But the commitment was up, so I didn't put it back in the budget.
What you're asking is, it wound up being paid in 1 year rather than over 2. Is that what you're getting at?
I think he's trying to do it one time, but.
I'm trying to understand what took place.
Well, are you asking about the proposed budget or the
No,
last?
the last.
It was, we were never invoiced for the 15-16 contribution. So it was not paid in 15-16. They were reviewing their books this year. We paid the 16-17 contribution when we were invoiced. They were reviewing their books, realized they had not gotten the 15-16, contacted me, we verified that we had not paid it, so they then invoiced us. So they have been, both invoices have been processed in this year.
Okay, so that 50 was what the board approved.
Yes.
This 50 is what they're asking for.
That is correct. That is her proposed 2017-2018 budget
Right.
request that came. There is 50,000 in there for visit services, but I didn't
No.
place it in there.
No, this is for their total budget, the 919,700. It's not earmarked for any, is that, go,
There's 50,000 in there for
So
visit
we're back in
services.
work section.
Okay. So, the funds that we're requesting for an increase is to cover economic development, as the county manager mentioned, for marketing and additional staff. The visitor services funds are put in there, really, you'll see it as a revenue item and an expense item in the same amount as a placeholder, because we're not certain about the occupancy tax and how much funds that we would receive from the occupancy tax. So the $50,000 that's in the budget reported right now is based on the idea that we'll receive occupancy tax and not knowing how much that would be, but they would offset each other. If we do not have the occupancy tax passed, then there would have to be a decision and a discussion as to how we continue funding. So at this point, I do not have a request in the budget to the county or the city in reference to the visitor services, with the idea that the occupancy tax will pass and we'll have the funds from the occupancy tax.
But she did not cover that in her cover letter, so she is, that's right. She did not make the
Right,
request.
this is just the whole budget.
That is
for
our
Sonic.
whole organization's budget.
I understand that. But I also understand that if you exceed the 50 you've already paid, then that needs to be approved by this board again.
Right, and there's no additional request right now.
I understand now.
Right.
I didn't understand initially.
Right, okay. But what I've heard is it's still pretty favorable for the occupancy tax. That's the latest I've heard. Okay.
Now, my main issue is, of course, we've asked for an audit. I know an audit's in place, but we still haven't received an audit, correct? I think that's due in December.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, late. So those are my biggest issues. You know, when I'm looking to budget things, I like to have everything in front of me when I do these things. You know, I've repeatedly, obviously, asked for notes and had trouble getting those. Our members are told we can't give us notes, and we're told we should ask the members for the notes. It does get tiring, and these are some of the issues that I've had since day one. My biggest one is, of course, having an audit and then seeing these things itemized individually and not in big lump sums. helps me know whether or not something is working efficiently, money is being used efficiently, or it is not. And this is one of the also the reason proponents. What I was saying is when we talked about taking the EDC as a thought in-house, unless we have those other things in play. At this point in time, we don't have anything in play because we don't have a signed contract as of yet. So I'm expected to agree to a budget, I believe, correct? But I don't even have a contract yet. Now, I'm all for growth. We're all for growth. It's just, which way we go about doing it, right? So those are my main issues.
But you also have been told you can go down there and get anything you want, right?
Yes.
Commissioner?
So I can go down there. I don't know why I can't receive them.
Well, I don't either, but I mean.
Might not get everybody much, but you get a big part of what it wants.
More discussion?
No, I'm gonna make one additional comment. I have read every weekly update since we started getting them, and I assure you, you're getting more information from the weekly updates than you're ever gonna get in a set of minutes. And that doesn't seem to satisfy you, and so.
Well, the other thing is audit too. That's a huge issue too.
I understand that, and I know.
Two is contract.
I understand that that's all being put in place, and it's in the contract, and I think we've got a path forward. And so I'm in support of supporting economic development.
Are you getting really for your things? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that was an issue.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, this was for information only. Any more time? Or questions? While we have Mr. Joyce and Ms. Thrash here during this work session extension. Okay, we thank you for your time and patience on this, and I know gotta hang around for a little bit longer. We'll try to move along. Okay. Our next item is back to new business. And unfortunately, I should have made this speech before they left, but I was, and Commissioner Sloan, no, you did it for me, so I didn't do it. But I do want to take time to thank all the department heads and staff for their part in preparing the budget. Certainly our finance director and our manager, but it's a team effort. And I didn't hear too much screaming or gnashing of teeth or anything. So I think, as usual, everybody did a great job. So thank you. The first item is item A, request to appear before the board to present the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council county plan and funding decisions for fiscal year 2017-18. Ms. Pam Glover, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being here.
Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, County Manager, how are you? Thank you all for taking time to go along with what the state requires that the Juvenile Crime Prevention does every fiscal year. And I delivered to Ms. Gamble, bless her heart, this large packet of paper, and I said, Ms. Gaynell didn't copy everything. So, because I think it was like, 40-some pages, but what you will see, one of the things is that I really was hoping that everyone took some time to look at, and this is something that we have been discussing a lot in our meetings, is if you would see when we do the state, the Department of Public Safety actually does the assessments, and they review the data over a 7-year time span. And what we've been discussing in our meetings, and I've got Michael Silverman, Commissioner Sharp, Ms. Potts are board members, and we've been really concerned about how the numbers look, where it comes from, like school-based complaints and things, because DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice, are seeing that 60% is pretty much coming, a lot of their juvenile complaints are coming from the school system. So that's one thing we're really working with the school system to see if we can get an handle on that situation. And so I know that was one thing that we're very concerned about as well. As you know, each year the state has not increased the fundings for Lee County and any other counties, but every year we do get $161,771 from the state, which we use to fund the different programs. The upcoming fiscal year 17-18, our bylaws require that each program that apply for the funding actually present to the board. And so we had one of our programs that normally does provide a service for us. They did not present. So you will probably notice that it doesn't look like we're funding as many organizations as we normally do. And that is the reason why. But we do have money set aside enough that in the event we see the need for something, we'll be able to allocate funds. What happens is that the state allows us to put up to $15,000 in administrative budget, and that's where we can move monies to another funded program if we needed to. Have any questions from anyone?
Any questions or comments? I miss being on your board.
I miss you too.
But I know Commissioner Sharp's doing a great job, and he comes with a really good perspective too. And the numbers are a little bit concerning, but we have some good programs to deal with our young people.
And what we have now working with our young people, our Hope Through Horses is that they have the kicking back. They're out of Lumber Ridge, and they have the kicking back. And this fiscal year, the 16-17 year, we started strengthening families. And what kicking back is that it's an equine service where they actually take the young people and they work with horses, and they try to alter their aggressive behaviors and things like that, and work with their patients, and help kind of do behavior modification by helping them to deal with the horses, and to be gentle and be kind. And I've actually monitored and watched young people that I know how they are in the community and even at school, and to see them working with the horses, and they're a completely different little girl and little boy. And so it does work. And with our strengthening families is that we realized in the 15-16 year that we really needed to strengthen that family bond, work with parents who needed some more skill building with parenting skills. And so the strengthening family piece, this program is where they actually have the children and the parent, normally the custodial parent. I have monitor that as well. And so there are fathers and mothers that are there, and they actually work on different areas, whether it's communication skills, trust, different things that may be building that family bond. And so that's what that Hope Through Horses is. Hope Through Horses they cover that part. And then Project Challenge is what they provide our community service and restitution for our young people. So that's where our funding, and then our administrative budget, that's where the funding for the 17-18 year will be for this upcoming year.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the fiscal year 2017-18 Juvenile Crime Prevention Council County Plan and funding decisions, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
very
Thank you for your
much.
time.
Thank you for all your hard work. Okay, so we're not skipping, we have moved B, C, D, E, F, G, and H to consent. So that brings us down to page 218, consideration of an offer to purchase surplus property located at 109 South 3rd Street. And Ms. Parrish, I guess the next few are yours.
Yeah, so item I, this is 109 South 3rd Street. This is located in the county and the city. We acquired the property through foreclosure sale in 2016. The total amount of fees and taxes owed on the property is $10,445.65, and the taxable value of the property is $47,400. There is a house that's on that land. And before the sale was finalized in 2016, 3 individuals contacted the city and county to have the foreclosure bid assigned to them. At that time, it was brought in front of the commissioners and the city council, and it was decided just to let the sale close and then allow the upset bid process. So on May 8th, Lawrence Curtis, through Witt's Remodeling, made an offer to purchase the property for $10,545.65. He paid the deposit plus the advertising costs. And then on May 23rd, I had another offer from Christian Campos to purchase the property for $10,100, and he made the requisite deposit and advertising costs. So at this time, just asking that the property be declared surplus and that you accept one of the 2 offers so I can then advertise it and move forward with the upset bid process.
I move that we declare the property as surplus and allow the county attorney to advertise for sale.
Except the high bid.
High bid, yeah, I apologize.
So that'll be for Lawrence first.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion or questions? Ms. Parrish? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
And I've also spoke on all, actually, I think all of these properties are in the county and city. And I've spoken with the city's legal department, and how we're going to move forward with these is that I think it maybe has gone differently in the past, but the last property I think was off of Stroud Street that we sold jointly. So the city is actually going to deed us their interest in the property. After tonight, I think it's going to be in front of the city council tomorrow, and I've reviewed the deeds. They'll deed us their portion of the property, and then we'll just continue with the sale. And then at the end, we have an MOU that spells out how the money will be distributed. But that way, it's not having to jump from here to there to here to there. And just like clear that way.
Good job.
Right. So the next
Charge
property.
number fee.
The next property is Cool Springs. That's page 231. Sorry, should have had them. So we received an offer from Mr. Anthony Poe for the purchase of his 0 Cool Springs Road. The PIN is 9633497973. Us and the city acquired the property through foreclosure sale in 2015. The amount in fees and taxes owed on that property is $2,022.41, and the taxable value is $6,000. He, after sending out letters to properties that we own in the city, he in the county, Mr. Poe decided to come in and put an offer, and his offer was for $2,550. He's paid the requisite deposit and advertising costs, and just asking that be declared surplus and that accept the offer so we can advertise for upset bid.
Okay. Any more questions from Ms. Parrish on this property? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay.
The next,
Oddfellow Street?
Oddfellow Street. What page is that on? 241. So, this is 700 Oddfellow Street, and the city and county owned that as through foreclosure sale in 2013, and the total amount of fees and taxes owed on the property is $11,938.82, and the taxable value of the property is $3,100. And Betty Jean McLean has submitted an offer to purchase for $300. And that, according to the MOU we have, would go to the cost of the foreclosure sale and the attorney fees. If you accepted that, just ask that you declare it surplus, accept the offer, and advertise for upset bid.
So moved.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
And then we have two properties on Hooker Street. One is Lot 3, Block A, and the other is Lot 2, Block A. Received properties, or offers from Mr. Brandon Martin on behalf of Black Fountain LLC. The amount, the city and county required the properties to foreclosure sale in 2016. The amount of fees and taxes is $1,972.10, and the other is $1,972.11. The taxable value of both properties is $2,900. Mr. Martin, back in October, had contacted the county to have the foreclosure bid assigned to him, and at that time, we decided to go ahead and let the sale continue, and he has now submitted an offer. His offer on both properties is for $1,950.00 on each property. So on item L, just asking that you allow that to be declared surplus and authorize the sale to be advertised in the newspaper.
I move to accept the recommendation of council on both properties.
Can we do it? Okay. All right. Okay. Any more questions or discussion? This vote is for actually item L and M, but it's the same individual, same
price.
same
Yep.
street. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Items N and O have been moved to consent agenda. Item P, budget amendment, Ms. Minter. Hey.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Before you, you have budget amendment number 15 for this fiscal year. This budget amendment appropriates funds in the general fund for the receipt of our FEMA funds from the federal and state government. That amounted to $41,277. That money will be placed into Emergency Management's department and will be reimbursing fire departments and some of our employees that still had comp time that they earned from that event. We would pay that out. There were only a few of those that had any time still left. And then there's $9,000 being appropriated in the solid waste fund to cover additional costs of vegetative waste grinding. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I move to approve that budget request as stated.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Then I guess if you want
Right.
to go on into our monthly financial report, it looked pretty good.
Yes. On pages 297, on page 297, you'll find the beginning of our monthly financial report for the month ending April 30th. 2017, our property tax collections are about 1.41% ahead of the same period last year, and that's reflective of growth more than anything for this fiscal year. And then sales tax revenues are through January. Remember that we do run 3 months behind on that. But as you can see on the reports following the monthly financial report, our sales tax numbers are still looking very good. We're still running in conjunction with our budget. And hopefully the projections I've put out are a little bit ahead of our budget, and we seem to be on target with those also at this time. So we're running about 8% overall countywide over last year, and in Article 46 it's showing us being up about 11%. So we still, looking at it, seem to be faring well in Lee County versus statewide overall. Lee County seems to be seeing a little better growth, so we hope that continues. A lot of it is the expansion of businesses we've had here. I'll be glad to answer any other questions. The only department that's still running over is medical examiner. I have submitted a budget amendment to the county manager, moving that money from juvenile detention, like I told you last time, and moving that over to medical examiner, so that will not be there. Hopefully, once you see the June report, it will still show up in May. I don't think I submitted that until June.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Ms. Minter on this? Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It's good news. All right. Commissioner comments. Wow, who knew? I would have lost money on this. Okay. All the time. Well, that's true. Commissioner Dodson.
No, I don't think I'm good tonight. I do appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you.
Okay.
There's been a couple fatalities and accidents, so I just wanted to tell people there's definitely something fun if they're bringing any need, or just keep them in your prayers.
Thank you.
Just want to thank all the department heads and everyone that's working for the county for working very hard on the budget, and thanks for everyone coming tonight.
Yeah, second Commissioner Sharp's comments. Thank the department heads for what they've done and for the citizens that show an interest in what we do here. And, for the work that this board does, thank you all.
Kudos. Same thing. Thanks to the board, to our folks for the work they've done. And I want to let everybody know that out on 42 and Steel Bridge Road, we have a set of 4-way stop signs. You better stop. Highway Patrol been filling this quota out there, I understand.
Everyone's on notice now, right, Doc? Oh, I'm sorry.
She didn't ask me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You were moving along and you skipped me.
Yeah, I know. I am so sorry.
So proud of you.
Well, I needed to tell the board two things tonight that couldn't wait for 2 weeks. First, some of you may have heard that our pool at OT Sloan is not open. We've had a delay in delivery of the filtering tanks, and we're working with Pentair to hopefully get those on the road to us this week, and so that we can open sometime next week. So just having a problem there, and apologize for that, but you know, one of those issues. We thought we would be open by now, but we're not. The painting is finished, and the pool looks great. It just doesn't have any water in it. So hopefully it will soon. On the budget, I have received 2 comments or inquiries from agencies or departments. The first is the sheriff. So I want to let you know that there will be a change in the sheriff's budget before the June 19th approval. Worked with the sheriff to move some money around within his budget to address some personnel issues he wanted to address. But I wanted to make you aware that you'll see a change in his full-time salaries and part-time salaries as we're moving some money back and forth. But the total budget for the sheriff is not changing. The second issue is received a call from the president of the community college. They're concerned about the reductions I made to their request for the capital. So next week I'm going to be meeting with him again and Philip Price, who's on vacation this week, to go tour what they've done at the telecommunications building and the moving of the pods over there. So Lisa and I have asked for some detailed financial information on what it has actually cost them to move those pods, and if we're cutting them short, I feel like we should take that money out of fund balance and give it to them, since it's a one-time expense. But I just want to make sure that that what that money is for. So yes, sir.
John, let me ask you, I noticed they're moving all the pods over to Wickers. Is that where they're moving them over?
Yes, sir. I'm moving them to the telecommunications building out at the industrial park.
Isn't that over the continuing ed stuff?
That project's supposed to be finished next Friday, so they were expecting us to essentially reimburse them for the cash outflow that they were making. So those are the only 2 comments I've had on the budget that come directly to me and from agencies or departments. So I can only assume that everybody else was happy.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
$71 million budget and 2 comments, that's not bad.
I'm pleased. I'm ready to put it to bed myself and get back to some things that I have procrastinated on while we've been going through all of this.
Crunching numbers. Yes, and I will say in the various places that we all go, meetings and events and everything, when people ask how things are going with the budget and I give them our schedule, I reminded many people about our hearing tonight And in the dozens of people I've talked to over the last couple of weeks, specifically to the budget, the comments that I keep getting are, keep doing what you're doing. They like the direction the county's moving in. They can see a lot of positive things. I had one person that was glad to see another grocery store opportunity getting ready to open up, and the young people love the Starbucks and the Dunkin' Donuts, and while those are nice, we're looking at jobs. But I did run into a parent that was just thrilled that their child had graduated from college and had gotten a job at one of the businesses that has expanded, one of the businesses that was already here. So they were excited. Just a couple of things from me. Again, thanks for all the help on the budget. It's an arduous process, I know. I'd like to remind everybody, it's on our calendars, and we have talked about it before, but our next meeting on the 19th will be our Young Commissioners meeting, and that will be their first day for their 2-week immersion into county government. So I'll be, for better or worse, helping them start out that morning and hanging out with them. And then we're going to convene, and I'm looking at Ms. Gamble, but in the Wicker Room at 4 o'clock, and have a light supper. And for any commissioners that can join us, that would be great. In the past, we've just sort of sat around and let them ask questions and just be very informal, and then the ones that are actually going to come up here and take our jobs for a little while and open the meeting and give the invocation and that kind of thing, we'll bring them in here and let them kind of get familiar with the room and the process. So 4 o'clock is when that begins, but of course, come on in at 5 or 5:30 if you want to, and at least get to meet them and shake their hand. Also, I'd like to congratulate our graduates, high school and college, that we have. And a little personal privilege, John and I have two that are going to be walking across the stage Thursday night at Lee County High School. So a great group of graduates countywide, and so wish them well and safe graduation evenings. And along that line, we hear a lot about kids that cause trouble, but I can honestly and officially report that probably 99% of our kids in Lee County are great kids. And I had the opportunity this week, and I would like to share with the board, Thursday morning I went to Lee County High School and presented Jameer Smith with his letter. I worked through Coach Peace. Jameer is overwhelmed with everything that is happening to him right now. And so he didn't want a big fanfare. I did invite him to come to our meeting, but he preferred for me just to go to the school and present the letter. But we had a really good meeting, and I have a picture I'll show you later if you want to see it. But had a good morning with him, and then was able to go to the Lee County High School choir performance over the weekend with, oh my gosh, probably close to 40 or 50 high school students that sang Broadway tunes and just blew us away, with the talent that we have and the time and the dedication it takes. So got a lot of good stories in our young people, and they do a lot of share a lot of their talent for free at our rest homes and with our young people at our elementary and middle schools. So thanks to them for everything that they do. So a lot of good stories out there. It was a good week, and again, wish everybody a safe and happy graduation. And with that, closed session.
I move we go into closed session per General Statute 143-318.11 relating to expansion of business, also to discuss personnel matter, and also to discuss the acquisition of real property.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, we're in closed session. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
We find out.